Marcus Hill was 25 years old and living in a small Midwestern town where everybody more or less knew everybody. He wasn't wealthy, wasn't flashy, but he had a reputation that mattered a lot more in a place like that. He was dependable. Marcus worked long hours at Riley's auto shop. He was the type of employee who'd clock in early and stay late if a customer was stranded. His boss once told reporters, Marcus could have left at 5, but he never did. He stayed until the last car rolled out. Outside work, his life was simple. He liked basketball on Sundays, card games with cousins on Friday nights, and long drives with the windows down when he needed to clear his head. People described him as the glue of his family. He wasn't the loudest, wasn't the oldest, but he was the one who always showed up, the one who quietly carried more than his share without ever asking for credit. That's who Marcus was, and maybe that's why it cut so deep when the person accused of betraying him was the very person he once called a brother. Marcus met Jamal Carter back in high school. They were opposites. Marcus was reserved, thoughtful, a little shy. Jamal was bold, the joker, always chasing attention. But those differences made them click. Where Marcus stayed grounded, Jamal added energy. Where Jamal got reckless, Marcus balanced him out. Everyone knew them as a pair. If you saw one, the other wasn't far behind. A former teacher remembered. They rode the same bus, shared lockers, played ball together, even got their first jobs at the same grocery store. For 10 years, Marcus and Jamal were inseparable. The bond was so strong that people casually called them brothers. That's what made the story so hard to believe later on. Enter Vanessa Williams. Vanessa wasn't from town. She moved in with her aunt while attending community college. She was confident, smart, and beautiful, the kind of presence people noticed when she walked into a room. Marcus noticed her too. Their story started in a diner, with Marcus nervously making a joke about his burger being illegal. It was so good. Vanessa laughed, and that was all it took. From there, conversations turned into dates, and dates turned into something serious. By all accounts, Vanessa grounded Marcus even more. She motivated him to dream bigger, to save up for more than just bills. She was supportive, but she also pushed him. At first, Jamal seemed fine with it. He teased Marcus like a brother would, calling Vanessa Queen V and making jokes about Marcus being whipped. But the teasing had an edge, and over time, people started noticing that edge getting sharper. Vanessa later admitted there were moments that unsettled her. Sometimes she caught Jamal staring a little too long. Sometimes his jokes about taking Marcus's place didn't sound like jokes at all. And then the messages started. Late night texts, never during the day. You deserve better. If he slips up, I won't. You know I see you, right? Vanessa didn't reply. She deleted them, hoping Jamal would get the hint. But silence wasn't enough. If anything, it made him bolder. And Marcus, loyal to a fault, either didn't notice or didn't want to. Friends noticed the tension before Marcus admitted it. A coworker remembered Marcus sighing whenever Jamal's name came up. He's just acting different, Marcus said once. But that's my guy. We'll get past it. Another recalled a heated argument behind the auto shop. Marcus told Jamal to back off. Jamal shot back with, "Make me." The coworker didn't know what it was about at the time. Later, everyone assumed it was Vanessa. Even so, Marcus never cut Jamal off. In small towns, loyalty runs deep, and Marcus believed in loyalty almost to a fault. On the night before his death, Marcus and Jamal were seen at the Rusty Anchor, a local bar. Security cameras captured them side by side, laughing, drinking, even playing pool. To a stranger, they looked like best friends enjoying a night out. But eyewitnesses caught the cracks. One woman said, every time Marcus stepped outside to call his girlfriend, Jamal's smile would disappear. He just stared at him through the glass. It was eerie. Marcus left the bar around midnight. Jamal stayed behind. Nobody thought much of it then. But within 24 hours, that moment would become the centerpiece of an investigation. The following night, at 8:47 p.m., Marcus sent Vanessa a short message. Be there in 10. It was the last thing he ever wrote. Vanessa waited by her window, phone in hand. 10 minutes passed. Then 30. She called Marcus's phone. No answer. She called again. Still nothing. By midnight, panic set in. She dialed Jamal. His tone was casual, almost dismissive. Nah, I ain't seen him since the bar. He probably crashed somewhere. But something about his voice didn't sit right. She hung up unsettled, with no idea she'd just spoken to the prime suspect. The next morning, a jogger found Marcus's body on Briar Trail, a wooded path just outside town. He wasn't robbed in the usual sense. His sneakers and wallet were missing, but his watch and car were untouched. He had bruises on his face and arms, signs of a struggle, and one single gunshot wound to the chest. Close range. The scene screamed personal, and as soon as detectives asked, who was Marcus closest to? The same name came up over and over, Jamal Carter. Within hours, crime scene techs flagged something half buried in the dirt, a cigarette butt. Marcus didn't smoke. Vanessa didn't either. DNA results came back the next day. It belonged to Jamal. And just like that, Marcus's best friend, the man who once called him brother, went from grieving friend to prime suspect. But the more detectives dug, the stranger the story became. Witnesses recanted. Evidence pointed one way, then another. Every answer brought two new questions. This wouldn't be an easy case. It would be a labyrinth of jealousy, silence, and betrayal. It was early morning when a jogger stumbled across Marcus's body at the edge of Briar Trail, a quiet, wooded strip kids usually rode bikes through. The jogger's 911 call was frantic. He's not breathing. He's just laying there. Hurry, please. By the time officers arrived, the dew was still wet on the grass. Marcus was flat on his back, arms twisted awkwardly, one shoe missing, the other tossed a few feet away. His wallet and phone were gone, but detectives noticed something odd. His watch was still on his wrist. His car was still parked neatly down the road. This didn't look like a robbery gone wrong. It looked staged. And then there was the wound. A single gunshot to the chest. No wild shots, no panic fire. One clean pull of the trigger, close range, face to face. As the forensics team combed through leaves and dirt, they found a cigarette butt. At first, it didn't stand out. Trails get littered all the time. But when the lab results came back, everything changed. The DNA on the filter belonged to Jamal Carter. That finding was explosive. Because Jamal didn't smoke. At least, that's what he told everyone. Co-workers backed him up. Jamal used to clown on us for taking smoke breaks, one said. Said it was a waste of money. So what was his DNA doing on a cigarette a few feet from Marcus's body? Detectives called Jamal in. The recording starts calmly. He leans back in the chair, arms crossed. Detective, when did you last see Marcus? Jamal. At the bar. We shot pool, had some beers. That was it. Detective. And after that? Jamal. I went home, watched basketball highlights. Detective. Anybody who can confirm that? Jamal. Shrugs. Nah, I was alone. When the cigarette came up, Jamal's posture changed. He leaned forward, then froze. Detective. We found your DNA at the scene. Jamal. Long pause. That's impossible. Somebody planted that. Minutes later, he asked for a lawyer. At first glance, Jamal's story had backup. His phone logs showed YouTube activity around the time Marcus was killed. But digital forensics spotted the catch. Those videos were auto-cued. The phone never moved, but that didn't mean Jamal hadn't. He could have left it charging at home while he drove out, and cameras seemed to confirm that. At 8:58 p.m., a doorbell cam 2 streets over caught a black Honda, matching Jamal's Civic, leaving his neighborhood. At 10:02 p.m., the same car came back. That gap lined up almost perfectly with Marcus's last text and the estimated time of death. Detectives then got a tip about a gas station near Briar Trail. Pulling footage, they found a blurry shot of a black Honda pulling in around 9:46 p.m. The driver wore a dark hoodie and kept his head turned from the camera. Inside, a cash transaction was logged. A bottle of water, a bag of chips, and a fuel purchase, paid at 9:47 p.m. When detectives later searched Jamal's car, they found a crumpled receipt from that same gas station, same time. Jamal said it wasn't his. The clerk remembered the customer smelled like smoke. Around 9:15 p.m., a teenager walking his dog near Briar Trail said he saw two figures arguing, one taller, one shorter. He later picked Jamal from a photo lineup, but 2 days later, he recanted. He told police he wasn't sure anymore. His mother said a stranger in a hoodie knocked on their door late at night, asking if they'd seen anything and whether they enjoyed sleeping. No report was filed, but detectives suspected witness intimidation. Vanessa turned over her phone to police. Marcus's last text to her was there, time-stamped at 8:47 p.m. But what stood out were Jamal's messages. He doesn't love you like I do. One day you'll see who's real. I'd never let you down the way he does. She never responded, but investigators also recovered a deleted voicemail. Jamal's voice in a crowded place saying, "He don't even know what I know." It was recorded the night at the bar, not a confession, but a hint. Phone records showed Marcus got a call at 8:41 p.m., 6 minutes before texting Vanessa. It came from a prepaid SIM bought with cash at a corner store. Security cameras showed a man in a ball cap buying it. The build matched Jamal's, but the footage wasn't clear enough to prove it. The clerk did remember something, though. The same man also bought cigarettes, the exact brand later found at the crime scene. Then came the curveball. Another cigarette butt was found deeper down the trail. Different brand. DNA results showed it belonged to someone else entirely, an unidentified male not in any database. That sparked new theories. Was someone helping Jamal? Or was it random litter left behind days earlier? Either way, it complicated the case. Searches of Jamal's home and car turned up no gun, but they did find cleaning wipes in his trunk. Forensics revealed trace chemicals consistent with firearm cleaning fluid, enough to raise eyebrows, not enough for charges. Then came another detail. On Marcus's trunk, crime scene text lifted a smudged palm print, too distorted for a database hit, but the size matched Jamal's hand. Friends later mentioned he had a habit of thumping Marcus's trunk whenever saying goodbye. Again, suggestive, not conclusive. 3 days after the murder, the police tip line rang. A distorted voice said, "You're looking at the wrong guy. Check Vanessa's ex." Detectives followed the lead. Evan Cruz, her former boyfriend, had deliveries near Briar Trail that evening, but his alibi checked. Delivery logs and time-stamped photos placed him across town during the murder window. Whoever made that call wanted detectives chasing shadows. The biggest hole in the case was the gun. No firearm, no shell casings linked to Jamal. Without it, prosecutors hesitated. An informant later claimed Jamal tried selling him a 9mm pistol the day after the murder. But when pressed, he admitted he lied to cut a deal on unrelated charges. Once again, the trail went cold. On paper, the case looked damning. Motive: jealousy over Vanessa. Opportunity: a 2-hour window with his car leaving and returning. Evidence: cigarette DNA, threatening texts, gas station receipt, a note Marcus left behind. But each piece had wiggle room. Each clue could be explained away by a defense lawyer, and that was enough to stall an arrest. As detectives laid out their timeline, the picture was clear. Marcus had been lured to Briar Trail. There was an argument, a fight, and a single deliberate shot. Everything pointed back to Jamal, his car, his DNA, his behavior, his motive. But without the weapon, the case sat in limbo. And then, just when police thought the trail was fading, Marcus's family found something in his desk drawer that would ignite the investigation again. A note, in his own handwriting. If anything happens to me, look at Jamal. He's not the same anymore. Marcus's mother had been sorting through his things when she found the folded paper in his desk drawer. The handwriting was his, shaky but clear. If anything happens to me, look at Jamal. He's not the same anymore. To his family, it was Marcus's voice from the grave. To detectives, it was a chilling confirmation of their suspicions. But to prosecutors, it was inadmissible. It's not a dying declaration, the DA explained. He didn't write it in the moments before death. It's context, not evidence. And so, what felt like the most direct clue of all was boxed and labeled, another piece of the puzzle that couldn't be shown to a jury. By this point, the case file was thick. DNA on a cigarette, surveillance footage of a black Honda, a suspicious prepaid phone, the gas station receipt, and now Marcus's own note. But still, no weapon, no eyewitness willing to testify. Frustration grew. The Hill family wanted answers. The town wanted justice. Even the detectives admitted off record, "We had him. We just couldn't hold him." 2 weeks after the murder, investigators got a tip about a burned trash pile behind an abandoned house. In the ashes, they found scraps of fabric, a hoodie mostly destroyed, but not gone. Forensics pulled trace amounts of gunshot residue from the fibers. Twist number 1. The material matched the same brand Jamal was seen wearing in bar footage with Marcus the night before. But here's the problem: no bullet hole, no blood, no DNA, just residue, which meant it could have been any hoodie, burned at any time. Another almost clue that couldn't lock down. A rideshare driver came forward. He claimed he picked up a passenger near Briar Trail at 9:38 p.m., right around Marcus's time of death. The man wore a black hoodie, paid in cash, and asked to be dropped off near the same gas station where Jamal's receipt was time-stamped. Dashcam footage confirmed the ride, but the passenger's face stayed hidden in shadow. Twist number 2. The company records listed the ride as a guest account, a trip booked without a name, untraceable. Was it Jamal fleeing the scene, or someone else covering for him? Forensic teams went back into Jamal's devices. On his laptop, they found a search made the morning after Marcus was killed. How to wipe a phone completely. Jamal told investigators it was for selling an old device, but he never listed one for sale. He never produced one either. Twist number 3. At the same time, Marcus's phone, which went dark after his last text to Vanessa, showed evidence of tampering in its final minutes. Someone had tried and failed to reset it before shutting it off permanently. Detectives couldn't ignore the second DNA found at the crime scene on another cigarette butt. It belonged to an unknown male not listed in any database. For weeks, rumors flew. Was there an accomplice? Was Vanessa's ex involved? Was Marcus caught up in something else entirely? Evan Cruz, Vanessa's ex, was pulled in. He was questioned, but his work records and delivery logs cleared him. The theory collapsed. Twist number 4. Even so, the existence of that second DNA gave Jamal's defense all the cover it needed. If my client was there, his lawyer later argued, who's to say he was alone? Who's to say he pulled the trigger at all? Search teams dragged rivers, combed through wooded areas, and checked pawn shops. Nothing. Detectives even brought in dogs trained to sniff out gun oil. They found traces in Jamal's trunk, but not the weapon itself. Without the gun, one detective sighed. It's like building a house without nails. The walls just don't stay up. As weeks turned into months, the police received 2 anonymous tips, both typed, both vague. The first, check the creek behind Jamal's house. They searched. In a garbage bag weighted with rocks, they found soaked sneakers, Marcus's size, Marcus's DNA on the insoles, but no prints, no blood, nothing to tie them to Jamal. The second, he'll smoke again. And he did. Months later, Jamal was spotted at a bar in another town, cigarette in hand, the same brand as the one found at the murder scene. Locals snapped photos. Online, they spread like wildfire. But legally, it meant nothing. Smoking isn't a crime. Jamal began posting cryptic things on social media. Everybody points fingers, but nobody got proof. It ain't what you know, it's what you can prove. Y'all mad 'cause I keep breathing. Each post drew hundreds of furious comments. Marcus's family begged police to shut them down, but there was nothing unlawful about arrogance. Twist number 5. Detectives discovered the posts came from a second phone, a prepaid SIM activated just 2 days after Marcus's death. Another loose thread, but still no knot. Eventually, the district attorney's office met with detectives. They reviewed everything: the cigarette DNA, the receipt, the car footage, the hoodie, the shoes, the note Marcus left behind. And the DA shook their head. It was strong, but it wasn't airtight. They couldn't risk trial. If Jamal was acquitted, he could never be tried again. So the decision was made: no charges. The Hill family wept. Detectives slammed doors, and Jamal walked free. Why were Marcus's shoes taken? As a trophy or to stage a robbery? Who was the second smoker at the scene? A friend of Jamal's or just a passerby? What exactly was said in those last minutes at Briar Trail before the trigger was pulled? Questions with no answers, not yet.